Hey, hopefully everybody can hear me. If not, send up smoke signals, semaphores, wave, whatever you got to do to let me know. Because I set the stream up in like 5 minutes, so there you are. So I'm going to put it in the chat. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? So. Let's see, what do we have going on here? Basically, I got a comment. Oh my gosh, I got a comment on one of my streams, and it was the one where I had that SE with the this SE here, with that accelerator board in it, and one of the viewers, don't recall his name off the top of my head. Let me see if I can find it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Asked me, he says, how did you get that board out? And I'm like, I don't remember. I do remember having it out, but I couldn't remember. And on the live stream I did a while ago, I didn't actually say how I got it out. I didn't show. Because I went back and looked at it and said, why didn't Past Me show that? So I finally found the SE that it was in. I've got a couple of them here, and of course it was the last one I looked in, right, as usual. And as soon as I opened it up, I remembered how I got the board out. So I thought, why don't I live stream it? I can show, what I did. I don't know if it's the recommended way to do it, but it's certainly the only way it would work. So let's switch cameras. Just a second here. If I get the right camera. Of course, I wasn't really prepared for all this today. So, all right. So let's see what we got. So, let me move the mic so you guys can hear me. Gonna have to figure out a better way of handling all this stuff, but it is what it is. So this is the SE. And let me lift this up so you can see the inside. Oh. So deep down in there, can you see it? Do this another way. Okay. So if you look down in there, you can see. Well, come on, Eric. Move the right direction here. Kind of hard to see, but way down in there it says accelerated engineering. So there's a board sitting on top of the logic board, and there isn't any room. There's a connector. Let's see if we can get it back in here. So right here is a connector, and as you can see, there's absolutely very little room here to move that thing around. So you can't, when it's in, let me move this back up. Okay. When this thing's installed, there's no room to move this board. You can't move it. That connector, edge connector, gets in the way. So how do you do that? Let me disconnect the floppy drive and the power cord. It's like you need two hands to do this stuff, and I got fat fingers. There we go. All right. So this is how I removed that board. I took it, and since you can't slide it up far enough to get it past these edges, I took the edge and I bent it. So that I could get it past that edge. Of course, you got to kind of bend those things out of the way. There we go. And there. That's how you remove that board. You have to bend the edge connector on the case for the board out of the way so that you can just swing it out. It's not the ideal solution. Oh, bending the edge is what the manual says to do. I'd love to see the manual. I don't have a copy of it. So if somebody has the manual or knows where I can get a scan of it, I'd appreciate it. But yeah, that's what you got to do. You actually have to bend this. I don't recommend removing this board very often for that reason. But yeah, that's it. So it's a nice board. I mean, let's see if we can get it over here. I gotta rearrange this screen. It doesn't really work too well. There. Good enough. Anyway, and it does make this SE pretty speedy. I really do like it. And so we still have 20 minutes before Justin's stream starts. I thought I'd hurry up and get in here while I could. I needed to. I would have done this earlier and I would have been more prepared, but my significant other required a piece of furniture to be picked up, so that's not something she can do herself. So I ended up doing that. And then we got dinner. So, you know, you guys know I moved recently and now live in East Lansing, Michigan, which is a college town. One of the nice things about that is we actually have more than just meat and potatoes restaurants around. So there's a place called Aladdin's. Has had the same owner for, let's see, we used to go there 25 years ago when we were in the area, and picked up some really good Middle Eastern food. I had lamb shish kebab with a really nice garlic sauce and some onions, and I think they were carrots that were roasted on the kebabs with it, and some rice. So anyway, and then to get this back in, I got it back in here, and then this doesn't really bend all the way back over, but it's far enough to hold the board and get it back into place. Yeah, the shish kebab was really good. My eldest daughter is mostly vegetarian, and she got some eggplant stew or something like that. And we went there earlier this week, and I had stuffed grape leaves and falafel. And the falafel balls, they weren't really large falafel balls. They were fairly small ones. Well, the problem with falafel, you get too big of a ball and they deep fry it. They overcook the outside and the inside stays pasty, or they make them too small and they get overcooked and they cook too fast. Well, this guy makes them small enough that you can get them done correctly. Gets them crispy on the outside, and they're perfect on the inside. They're kind of light and fluffy on the inside instead of pasty. So, dang, it was good. Turned around and went back and got more tonight. So, I love having choices for food options instead of it always being just burgers and steak. So, I think my wife had kofta meat kebabs. So it was ground beef and lamb with mint mixed in with it, and then they form it around, shape it like a hot dog, and grill it. Oh, yeah, it's good. Anyway, so that's how you get that thing out and back in. And that's really all I wanted to stream tonight. Let's see who's in the stream. So we have Gut Bomb and Sloopy and Bill Goats. Hey, Bill Goats. K-Mac Vintage, Eric Randall, Garth Beagle, Martin Mac, Frank S. And I think that covers everybody. Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of, let me switch the cameras too. Just wanted to really quickly just squeeze in this video so I could show that guy how I did it. And maybe talk a little bit about what's going on. So I'll only take a few minutes here. Trying to start up a revive kind of the classic HyperCard user group, and have it actually be a user group that's recognized by Apple. They don't do the kind of support they used to do for user groups, but they do still recognize them and allow you to have, you know, some artwork and things like that for the club. And I really wanted a virtual group for it. Unfortunately, the website that they have for registration and stuff is kind of broken right now, and they can't process applications. And their volunteer web admin is actually doing some work, web work or something for that Hawaiian city that was burned, or town, or I can't remember the name of it. It started with an L. I think Garth probably could put it in the chat. But anyway, so obviously, things aren't working. They're not able to respond to the request for a user group right now, and it'll probably be the first of the year before they can do it. And I said, hey, priorities. Do what you got to do. We'll get to it eventually. So right now, I'm pretty much focused on Lahana. I think, I don't remember how to pronounce it. But anyway, thanks, Garth. So, if you haven't, and there's anything that you can do to help out with that crisis, please do, because it definitely impacted a lot of people, and it was pretty horrific what happened there. So, Lahaina. Okay, there we go. My lesson in pronunciation. And I am terrible. I have enough difficulty with English, let alone and American English at that. So anyway, enough about that. So the other thing I'm focusing on is that the adventure game written in HyperCard. It's gotten to be a bit of a beast, but I've pretty much done all the coding I'm going to do on it, other than bug fixes and things like that now. I'm going to be working in some audio sampling from some of our esteemed friends, and I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to give it away. But that'll be fun, and you'll recognize some of the non-playing characters inside the game. So really excited to get that kind of wrapped up and finished. But and then something else I haven't really volunteered yet, I've talked about it on my Patreon, is I'm going to do a boxed set for it. It'll be handmade. I'm not going to do a run of 10,000 boxes because that would be prohibitively expensive. But I am going to do a box set, and my eldest daughter was going to be a graphic designer and decided she didn't want to do art for people for work. So she still has that skill set, and she's really into gaming. And she said we should do something like a D&D manual for it, where you've got the elaborate artwork of the creatures and things, and of course in the game you've got nothing, as it were, and then do a box, kind of artistic cover for the box art. And we'll just do a small telescoping box, put a disc in it, put the manual in it, and there'll be some special things in the manual that'll be fun. Kind of like you used to get, back when you got that, box art you could put on a shelf. So I have no idea what I'm going to charge for it, or how many. It'll be a very limited run because I have to hand make all the stuff. But the game will be freely downloadable. And I'm also working with Bree, the guy that created Blob, has a modified version of Mini VMac that he created to help him distribute Blob so that you could download it to your Windows computer and it would just auto run and load the game up and stuff. So I talked to him, and when he has time, he said he'd help me modify it and get it running so that I could do the same thing for Adventure. And that'll make it a lot more accessible to people on Windows machines and Linux and stuff like that. So you won't have to set up a virtual machine. You could just download it and run it. But so that's what's going on right now. I also played around with a little bit technical, but Lambda functions. It's got a long history. I won't go into it because we only have a few minutes here, but basically it's a way to do functional programming inside of languages. Python has extensions, so you could do inline function definitions and then call them. It's almost like using user-defined dynamic functions in a programming language, but the reason I'm looking into it and playing around with it is you could do something like that. There's in JavaScript you have the eval function you could use to evaluate code. Well, so you can have code that runs code. You can do the same thing in HyperCard. There's a do command that does the same thing. You pass it a string of code and it executes it. So why other than that it's cool, why play around with this? I have an idea to create a dialogue engine that'll go into the next version of Adventure so that I could have a scripted dialogue where you talk to an NPC and it gives you an option, a list of responses to what they say, similar to what you would get in some other games. So you could pick your responses and do things, and it could respond to and adapt to what you pick. Like you could try to talk your way out of a battle, or you could talk your way into a battle, things like that. So it's something I'm playing around with, and I'm going to do a couple of little proof of concept prototypes for it and stuff, and that'll work into the next version of Adventure. So a lot going on, and yeah. I'm still surrounded by boxes. You can see some of them here. I put some artwork up, and I'm covering the artwork up with stacks of boxes. So, it's the way it is. But I got a decent bench going now. I can actually leave things on it while I'm working on it. And here's something else that's kind of cool. Change cameras again. All right. No, actually, I'm going to do this camera. It'll be a little easier. So excuse the Vomit Express here. All right. So here's the workbench, and this is a woodworking bench, which is why it's got dogs, or holes for dogs, for holding your woodwork. But I also have this monitor arm with my microscope attached to it. So it's not as user-friendly as, those telescoping arms you get for the microscopes, but it does give me some degrees of freedom here, and I can move it up out of the way or bring it down. I can tilt the head. You can work on the tension of this thing. The only thing I can't do with it because of the weight range for the arm is kind of set it in the middle. I mean, I can kind of do it, but it's a little shaky. It wants to go all the way up or all the way down. But this is pretty useful, and it does work pretty well, and it was inexpensive to do. So get this back over here. Anyway, so there's benchy things I'm doing to try to get the cave set up and going. So yeah, still have an opportunity for that box for it. I've got probably about 50 empty boxes right now that are collapsed so that I could sell them off when I'm done. But yeah, could do a box for it. Nah, I'm not going to do a box for it. What else? That's pretty much all that's going on. So anyway, it's T-minus 5 minutes to Justin's stream, assuming he's on time. And we all want to go watch him. I don't really have anything else to show off right now. We'll have some more HyperCards content here soon, though. So I want to show off the Lambda functions and how they work, and it's kind of cool. It's very nerdy. It's very programmy, but it's cool. All right. I'll see y'all guys later. Thanks. Oh, where is that button for the music? So, come on. I know it's here. Outro. There we go. See ya.